Welcome to this explainer. Right now, artificial intelligence is literally rewiring modern law enforcement from the ground up. It's a massive, rapid shift. We're talking huge promises, but equally massive risks. Today, we're going to break it all down for you, step by step.
Okay, so let's just dive right into this. I want you to imagine you're right in the middle of a massive downtown protest. It's crowded, folks are chanting, waving signs. You probably feel like just one face in a sea of thousands, right? Perfectly anonymous. But let's take a closer look at just how much of your personal data is actually being captured at this very second.
Look around, and you're going to notice an unbelievable web of devices silently logging faces, vehicles, and movements during this supposedly anonymous march. I mean, you've got police drones hovering overhead, you've got automated license plate readers or ALPRs scanning literally every car parked on the street, city traffic cameras are watching the intersections, and every single officer on the ground, yeah, they're wearing an active body camera. It is a massive, silent vacuum of digital evidence.
Now, you might be thinking, we've had cameras for years, right? And you're right. But here is the real game changer. What used to take detectives days or even hours of tedious, mind-numbing manual video review can now be analyzed by artificial intelligence in mere minutes. It can sort, search, and flag specific objects or faces. This makes it incredibly easy to track a participant long after the crowd actually disperses.
So let's talk about the efficiency promise and tackling the paperwork problem.
To understand how AI got access to all this data in the first place, we actually need to look at the absolute most mundane part of police work, the paperwork. Companies out there like Mark 43 offer tools like Report AI. These act basically as a digital assistant. An officer simply records an encounter on their body camera, then the audio is transcribed directly into the system, and the AI automatically generates a drafted police report. It turns a messy, chaotic encounter into clean text for a human officer to just verify and approve. And you know, law enforcement software developers actually make a really compelling argument here. As Wendy Gilbert from Mark 43 points out, their core mission is to help responders spend less time on administrative work so they can spend more time out in their communities. They argue this tech just completely removes that administrative burden. It keeps officers on the streets instead of stuck behind a desk typing up reports all day, and it actually increases accountability through permanent digital audit logs. Sounds like a total win-win for public safety, right?
But then we hit the turn, the rise of agentic policing.
As with all really powerful tools, there's always a pivot point. And experts are sounding the alarm over a rapid shift toward what is known as agentic policing. This is a model where AI stops just summarizing past events and starts actively telling police who to investigate next. Basically, it integrates vast data sources, the body cameras, the drones, the license plate readers, the old case files, into one giant brain that actively generates investigative leads and identifies potential suspects entirely on its own.
So the crucial takeaway here is that this completely flips the traditional investigative process on its head. Think about it. Traditionally, detectives start with a crime scene, they gather evidence, and they slowly build a case to identify a suspect. It's a human-led pursuit. But the agentic AI process? That's entirely different. Massive amounts of data are just dumped into an AI model, the machine generates a likely suspect, and it forces police to work backward to verify the machine's logic.
Because of this massive shift, legal scholars like Andrew Guthrie Ferguson from George Washington University are pointing out some very real constitutional, statutory, and practical risks. We are giving government algorithms a frankly astonishing amount of power. And since we're dealing with hidden biases in the underlying data, and because these models often operate as a totally closed black box, it becomes incredibly hard for a defense attorney to actually challenge the machine's reasoning in a courtroom.
Which brings us to the real risks: surveillance and misuse on the ground. Civil liberties groups aren't just sitting around worried about some distant sci-fi future. They're pointing to very real abuses happening right now. Experts like Rachel Levinson-Waldman at the Brennan Center for Justice emphasize how concerning it is that these tools supercharge surveillance and enforcement. Dumping sensitive public data into these systems gives the government an unprecedented level of power to monitor daily life, going way beyond what ordinary citizens expect or consent to when they just walk down the street.
And honestly, we don't even have to guess what this kind of misuse looks like in the real world. Just recently, in April, a former Costa Mesa police officer pleaded guilty to misusing law enforcement databases and flock safety cameras. He essentially leveraged this exact kind of sweeping surveillance network for highly personal, illegal stalking.
By tapping into that automated license plate reader network, this officer was able to effortlessly, and I mean effortlessly, monitor the daily movements of his own wife, a mistress, and several romantic rivals. Now, the tech companies will argue that their audit logs catch this behavior, which, to be fair, they eventually did in this case. But the sheer ease with which this sweeping surveillance was executed in the first place, it's pretty staggering. And similar allegations have already surfaced in at least 8 other states.
Because of these exact kinds of surveillance and data sharing concerns, a massive backlash has already begun. To put a number on it, at least 30 cities have outright canceled their automated license plate reader contracts since early 2025. Local communities are really starting to look at this and ask, is all this efficiency actually worth the cost to our privacy?
Let's look at the patchwork guardrails and how states are adapting.
So, who is actually regulating a technology that is moving at literal warp speed? Well, as you can see, right now there's absolutely no national standard. It is completely the Wild West out there. Places like California and Utah have enacted laws requiring AI disclosure in reports. Montgomery County, Maryland, is taking a super cautious approach, just exploring early transcription tools. But then you look at Arkansas, and they're building a massive, centralized AI-powered cloud platform. Or Maui County, Hawaii, which just approved a $1.7 million expansion for AI drones and cameras. The rules just completely change depending on what state line you happen to be standing across.
To try and prevent massive, system-wide legal failures in court, nonpartisan groups like the Council on Criminal Justice are practically pleading with police departments to adopt 4 fundamental safeguards right now. 1. Clear disclosure when AI is used. 2. Mandatory human verification of the outputs so we don't just blindly trust the machine. 3. Regular independent auditing of these tools. And 4. Extensive training for legal stakeholders so judges and lawyers actually understand the technology they're arguing over.
But, as computer scientist Chris Moore highlights here, it's fair to say the speed of adoption makes it incredibly hard for the legal community to keep up. The technology is just flat out outpacing the courts, the regulators, and the agencies that are supposed to keep us safe. Software updates happen in seconds, legislation takes years. Right now, the law is just playing a constant game of catch-up.
Which leaves us with a critical thought for you to take away from this explainer today. We've seen exactly how this tech saves crucial time, and we've seen how terrifyingly easy it is to abuse. So as artificial intelligence shifts from just drafting mundane police reports to actively hunting down suspects, who ultimately gets to write the rules? When the machines start picking the suspects, how do we guarantee that justice remains human? Thanks so much for joining me to explore this today, and keep asking the hard questions.